Coming up in Finding G Spots, we look at the beautiful National Museum of Qatar in Doha. Come join us. Welcome back everyone, let's dive in and have a look at the Qatar National Museum. The first thing you'll notice is all these palm trees surrounding it. And have a look at that, they've even put bags around to stop the seeds dropping everywhere. Quite ingenious. Now, if you come from the metro, the underground railway system, you will actually walk down an alley with all these palms here. And yeah, you can see they've done a great job with the way they've landscaped it. It's just beautiful. It really adds to the striking effect of the place. And like I said, very clever of them to bag the seeds like that. Now, we went in summer. This is from our trip last summer. And of course it was very, very warm. I would recommend that you try to go as early as possible to avoid the heat. Now, of course, you'll see the amazing architecture of the place, which we'll look at a little bit later on when we've finished with the inside. Now, the first place we went to was the gift shop, and that's just another example of, look at that beautiful wood carving on the inside of it. So we did a little bit of shopping there, and then we went and had a look at the first of the exhibits. Now, the first place that we went to is a lot about the sort of ecological history of the desert there in Qatar. So you can see the displays here. They've got a lot of animals. I believe they are taxidermy. In other words, they're real animals that have died and they've been stuffed and preserved. Now, I could be wrong. They might just be, artificial ones, but they look to me like they are actually real animals that were stuffed. So this continues on with a theme. They also show the marine life here that you can see, which surrounds some of the waters there in the Gulf. And you can see they've made great use of the film work behind it. So they've got videos, photos and stuff, which gives an illusion of movement. So the way they've done it is really, really quite clever. And of course, it's come at a cost. They've really spent a lot of money on making the museum this way, so that you've got this sense of perhaps the passing of time as they've done the exhibits. So they've done really well. And even just the buildings, the architecture on the inside is also quite stunning as well. Here's another look at some of that movement as my wife was passing by. Now, they've got a few interactive displays. This one's like an archaeological display, and you can use different tools to uncover artifacts which are hidden in the soils. So it's something I think children would really love to do. I mean, I quite enjoyed it. It was quite interesting. If you've got an interest in archaeology, you will enjoy it as well. Now, this section here it's sort of like part pottery, part fossils, part geological with rocks, but some of it is pottery that's been uncovered. So obviously they've got a lot of history dating back thousands of years, and again, it was quite stunning the way they've used that film in the background to highlight the displays. Now, this section here is more artifacts, and probably one of my favorite use of the video is this sand here that's falling down as my wife's walking past. Really quite a large interior too of the museum, so there's plenty of room as you're walking around. Now, this section here was some, I'm not quite sure what they were, whether it was fabric or just paintings, I can't remember, but it was certainly stunning as you walked down these stairs to go into the next exhibit, and you could see all this colourful display. It was just stunning. Now, one thing I should point out is as you're walking around, there's sort of like a guided path where you can walk, but there is no sort of set path. You can just sort of wander around and backtrack if you like when you go around, but there's certainly all the different sections. That's a boating section, which is all about the history of the pearling industry, which I didn't know much about until I did this tour. And there's also plenty about the traditional Qatari people. This is from their pearling industry. You can see some pearls there and more examples of how they've used the videos to interact with the displays. This one is about the history of the oil and how that brought great wealth to the country. They're celebrating the automobile and other stuff involved with the petroleum industry. And that's of course where they've got a lot of their wealth. Also their display there of the Qatar flag and how it developed. Now here you can see this is a model of Doha and how over the decades it's slowly developed and expanded with population and so on. Now you can see right up until probably about the mid-70s it had very slow growth, and then sort of the late 70s it started to really explode in growth and population as people came there to work. Now this one I found particularly extravagant. I mean, the cost alone to buy all these flat screen TVs and to synchronize the audio visual that goes with it is just astonishing. Now this one here, I didn't realize, but Qatar has actually a thriving pharmaceutical industry with manufacturing and distribution. So you can learn a little bit about that. They're obviously having some money going into that section. Now, we did have a look at the outside garden. There's some beautiful gardens outside. Sadly, it was very warm when we were there, so we couldn't really spend much time there. Maybe next time. Now, we did go into this cafe. There's a cafe upstairs. Had a quick iced coffee and a bite to eat. It was actually very nice. And when I visit some places, I do quite often film the facilities just to see the cleanliness and how it reflects on the place. And I'm pleased to say it was very nice here, and it's sort of what you'd expect if you visit Doha and Qatar in general. Now here's a look at some of the amazing outside architecture. So I don't know who designed the building. They've done an absolutely fabulous job. Between the highway which runs past, they've got this water feature which also contains some sculptures and stuff like that. There's plants dotted around as well, and there's some buildings you can walk through. There's one here which looks sort of like a traditional abode, and there's even some like sculptures like rocks and stuff like this, which is also on the outside of the building. Again, because it was so warm, we sort of only had a bit of limited time to explore it. Would have liked to have spent more time, but I was worried about getting sunburn. Now this is a Qatar flag with all these hands holding it, quite a amazing little sculpture, and you can just see that around here it's just dotted with some really interesting stuff. So I really must go back in winter when it's a lot cooler and just spend some more time out here just walking around this amazing building. I guess it was a good 45 degrees when we were there. That's how warm it was, or close to it. I mean, like I said, we did this in the morning. You can see water there, the lifeblood of any desert region. Now just before we close off, I'll just point out that we did go to visit it, and we made our way there through the beautiful metro, which is the underground railway system, which clearly the government spent a lot of money on there. Definitely we would recommend you take the metro to visit it. The metro system is a fabulous way to get there, clean, and a great way to travel around some of those places. So there we have the beautiful National Museum of Qatar. Well worth a visit. Just some amazing exhibitions. Just the way they've done it, really great to walk around and see it. Alright, that's it for today's episode. Thank you very much for joining us, really appreciate it. We'll see you soon with more brilliant stuff on Finding G Spots. Take care out there, and bye for now.